And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the upper bracket round of 16. Round 16 here of the DreamHack Dallas Road to EWC, Road to the Esports World Cup. We now have our fresh best of 3. We have our ZvP, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Ultra Love, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Weibo Gaming. It is SHIN. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the American Protoss player, the Pro Bowl Protoss, the ex-observer himself for Root Gaming. It is Awesomesauce. Let us go as we are settling in. And if you're in the chat, predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as you can get your gambit going against SHIN. He's one of the big names to make a deep run in this tournament, and we'll see if he can make it through further into the upper echelons, into a qualifying match. Oh boy. Here we go. Likewise, Awesomesauce, he's warmed up, he's ready to go. I didn't mention Awesomesauce's own rank, but he's Masters. He's a Masters player, but he is here nonetheless to see if he can try to get a cheeky win over SHIN. Let's go. He's here for that pro gamer experience. Awesomesauce, what do you have for us? What do you have in store? Let's go. That's usually kind of what these early rounds entail. If you saw previously, Patches, he was popping up. He had some crazy cheeses, some crazy proxies, some crazy all-ins against Creator. Alas, they didn't quite work out, but there was potential for sure. Likewise, I'm sure that Awesomesauce has something special as well. For now, Hatch Gas Full. We do have our standard opener out of SHIN. Likewise, Awesomesauce going for a Gate Expand. Gate Expand into Cybercore, standard opener out of our Protoss. Nothing crazy yet, nothing too wild. Also good options. Yeah, we'll definitely once we wrap up some of these matches, we'll try to have a look at what series are available to us and where we head and where we go. Until then, we are soon going for a tech of choice. Again, pylon behind the mineral line. Interesting location, looking to hide the tech. Stargate, Twilight Council, or Robo, what do you have for us? Show us what you got. Meanwhile, SHIN, happily droning, takes down the probe. Behind the sea, pulls out a gas, and will expand and take a third base. So standard play here out of SHIN, just hatch gas, pull it into a third. Again, saturating his bases. Meanwhile, Stargate behind the mineral line. Often you don't really hide the Stargate unless you plan on going Void Ray, or maybe Void Ray into Skytel. So we saw the Tempest Rush earlier on Maganatha against Joshua, and this could be a sign of things to come. Another Tempest Rush. Well, we'll see. It's a little bit early to tell, so our eyes are going to be on Awesomesauce. SHIN as well will eventually move in for a scout. As Awesomesauce, he does poke in. Behind the Stargate is done. We're expecting a Void Ray, but we'll see if we open up Phoenix or even Oracle. Okay, never mind. Oracle first out of Awesomesauce. Interesting. Does open up Oracle. Based on the rally he's keeping at home, there is a build where you can go Oracle like this and make a second Oracle and bank them up back at home. Hope that your opponents, because there's no Oracle, skips the Spore and then catch them off guard with double Oracle. That is something you can go for, but we'll see as he's rallied across. Okay, he's rallied across the map. Behind this third base is being taken. Awesomesauce building up into the mid game. Lings are here to delay, but that's what the Oracle is for. As Lings are going to be forced back. SHIN, he now confirms Oracle first. He confirms the Stargate. And back at him, he's getting ready. Spores are now on the way. Queens are amassing as well. SHIN droning, saturating, setting up, building up into a longer macro game. That is going to be a bit of an earlier Twilight Council out of Awesomesauce. My eyes are on this probe. If he goes for a Forge, this should be plus on and blink. Otherwise, we could be cheeky here and going to Charge or going to Glaive Depths, but it's a Forge. Awesomesauce, he's trying his standard macro play here against SHIN. Okay, let's go. So it looks like plus on blink Stalkers. Again, a standard setup out of Awesomesauce. Okay, I see you. Eva Chamber on the way from SHIN. It should be fast plus on melee. Lings, they do hit the third base. Stasis does connect, but only on 3 Lings. Okay, comes in for the surround. Oracles, they race back home. And Awesomesauce will defend. He does deflect, he does defend. Plus on melee typically means Ling Hydra out of our Zerg player, so we should be delaying or even just completely skipping Roaches. So no Roach Warren yet. And just building up into more Lings. Behind this, yeah, as we mentioned, a plus on the Blink Stalkers. And Shin, he attempts to scout a little bit further.
You have a new queen.
God, every time.
Show me those skills.
God. God damn it, Shin. It happened earlier today when we were causing his GSL matches. Este Diva. Every time. There's a certain amount of players out there. Shin is one of them that they use Diva, and every time I do this to see their POV, Diva chimes in every time. Fun fact: Inexorable uses Total Biscuits. I think Astray uses Whitera. Astray does use Whitera, which is really cool. Not many people use Whitera. I know that Vindicta, he does like to mix it up. I think Vindicta right now is using Castra Park. It's always fun to see how certain players have their own, you know, personality or style showed in that way. As Shin, he does poke in. Likewise, as I mentioned, again, plus on melee means Ling Hydra does skip the Roach Warren, so straight up Ling Hydra out of Shin. This is quite greedy out of Shin, and this is set up ideally to shut down a Blink Stalker play and head in towards Lurker Tech in a longer game. So Shin just cutting corners and being as efficient as possible. Meanwhile, Awesomesauce has been very passive. Is getting into +1 Blink Stalkers, but we need to be active soon here to apply some kind of pressure. Shin has been left to his own devices, has been happily droning. Awesomesauce teching up, taking gases, working towards Storm. This is a very tech-heavy, very defensive style. Yeah, you can see he's turtling up, throwing down just walls of stasis traps, taking a 4th base, but this is just far too greedy. 4th base is denied. Again, there's barely a standing army. Awesomesauce, see, we haven't been warping in. We have so many minerals banked up. The gateway count is not there. Only 4 gateways. Only 5 gateways. He can't spend his money, can't spend his resources. So the macro here is slipping quite heavily, as we need those gateways. And Awesomesauce, he's fully walling up. He's again trying to fully wall up. Unfortunately, again, because of the lack of gateways, and because of the skipped warp ins, which I believe, yeah, warp ins are available, the army is not really there. Shin is moving out, and Awesomesauce cannot stop this. He's still teching up. We're getting a Stargate and a Fleet Beacon and a 4th base and gateways. This is the army. 3 Stalkers and a handful of Adepts. Yeah, just Awesomesauce just has been not making an army at this point. Skipping warp-ins, taking up, taking bases, and Shin, he's about to roll over. He's just about to roll over his opponent. Storm is ready. There's 1 Storm prepared. Bailey's, they chase down the High Templar. Ooh, massive connections. And the Templar, they go down, and there's just nothing left here for Awesomesauce. GG gets called, and Shin, he will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Again, Awesomesauce, he was playing pretty standard, pretty normal up until a certain point, but at a certain point, we did notice, hold up, where are the gates? Where are the gateways? Where are the warp-ins? Where's the army? Awesomesauce, he was just playing like Civ 5 or something. It was like, or like Sim City, like just making his bases, you know, setting up, getting a 4th base, teching, getting into Storm, getting into Skytoss. Unfortunately, it did mean that there was nothing to work with. There was no army, unfortunately. He was caught with his pants down. That's all we say. The pants were down. The pants were down, and with that, Shin walks up, takes the game. GG. GG, well played. Shin, he does take a lead in the series, and now we're getting to game number 2. Let's go. I consider buying the Diva announcer just in case any of my games ever get casted. God damn it. Every time. As morning in the bottom left-hand corner of Persephone, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Weibo Gaming. Weibo Gaming, and 1 game away from advancing on into the next round, it is Shin. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the American Protoss player, the Purple Protoss, representing Root Gaming. It is Awesomesauce. Here we go. She just went to Dazzle Play so I can cast my idea. You should if you're in the area. Recommended. Again, envious of those that are nearby enough to go to like a Dallas or an IM Katowice or a DreamHack Valencia or one of these big StarCraft events. Envious. Especially if you haven't gone to one before. I would say, you know, do so while you can, especially if you're a big fan of StarCraft. I would imagine it would be worth it, for sure. To meet up with people, to enjoy an event like that, enjoy the atmosphere, the experience, for sure. For now, Hatchcast full standard open out of SHIN. Likewise, we just have Awesomesauce going for a gate expand. And again, like when it came to the overall opener and the build, like it was fine. Like Awesomesauce, he was, you know, getting into a Stargate, Oracle, third base, defending, like everything was fine. Just didn't warp in. just didn't make units, pappy. Just wanted to make buildings. He was saving his minerals for the next game. True. Just saving his resources. It wasn't even about not being too aggressive. Like, was just skipping warp ins and skipping macro cycles. That's maybe a better way of putting it. Just macro cycles being skipped. So the army was just lacking there for Awesomesauce. But here we go. We can settle in. Time to take a breath. Take a breath. And let's go. The PSA if you're out there playing StarCraft. Just wear a belt. Tighten up. Don't be caught with your pants down. Easier said than done. Much easier said than done. As for now, SHIN just going for his third. Again, once again, just standard play here. There's no early gases, there's no early aggression, no early tech. Meanwhile, Awesomesauce going for his Stargate of choice, or tech of choice, going for his Stargate. Stargate opener out of Awesomesauce. Heading towards the eventual third. We'll see if he goes into +1 and blink again. And if so, we'll see if he does keep up when it comes to his warp ins. If he's more assertive, more aggressive. I would hope so. Especially coming into Persephone. Persephone is a map that does favor aggression. As it does shade in. Gets one drone, not bad. One drone goes down, barely does not get the second. Not too worth it here, but Awesomesauce does open up Void Ray. We mentioned it earlier last game, how we did see the initial Stargate placement, and it did look like he was going to go Void Ray into Skytoss, into Tempest. That might be the play here. The goal of the Void Ray, of course, is to hunt down the Overlord. Hunt down the Overlord, keep SHIN in the dark, and hide some tech. Is it for a fleet beacon? Is it for a second Stargate and Tempest production, or something different? Something more sinister? Like triple Stargate massive Void Ray or something crazy. There we go, Void Ray is revealed. And what is the plan? From here we can just go Oracle into a standard game, into a third base. My eyes are on Awesomesauce. Does take down the Overlord. Third base is revealed. Void Ray's in position. And what's the plan? We are going for an Oracle. Okay, Void Ray into Oracle, into Twilight Council, not a Fleet Beacon, not Skytoss. Standard follow-up out of Awesomesauce. Meanwhile, Links are being active. Lair is on the way for a SHIN. Oh, collapsing on the Adept, nice around. Takes down one, and going for the other as well. Yeah, both Adepts are exposed. Massive pickoffs, the Void Ray out of position, racing back home. This is why an Oracle is more defensive than the Void Ray, as it's able to be faster to keep up with these things. At least the third base is safe. Third base is safe. As Awesomesauce is moving out. Behind this SHIN, this time going for a Roachhorn, playing safe. Last game we just rushed into Ling Hydra. This time investing into Roaches. Evo Chambers on the way. We are missing an upgrade. Where's the blink? Where's the charge? Where's the tech of choice? So Awesomesauce slipping up a little bit here, but there we go. Blink is on the way. Into Temple Archives, into Storm. Gateways are being thrown down. We're building up. Likewise, it's similar to the previous game, except a little bit worse at this time, in the sense that there's less to harass. Blink is later, and there's only one Oracle, so Shin can just drone. Like, Shin, he is so free to saturate on 3 bases, get a 4th base up and running, tech up, and get into upgrades, get into the Hydra Den. He's very free to be greedy here, and he's doing so. He's taking up. Unfortunately, there's just no pressure. There's no pressure here from Awesomesauce, similar to the previous game in that sense, where there's just no way to be active right now because there are no oracles and there is a later blink. Likewise, no adept harass either, like vanilla adept harass at the start of the game. So Shin, he is so comfortable, and you can see already, like, because of that, the supply disparity, right? The supply disparity is insane. Now getting the 4th base up and running. And it shows us how important, like, harassment, scatting is as well. It goes both ways. Where you don't want the Protoss player to, likewise, do what they want and do what they please. We did see Shin, as a result, catching adepts, getting a pylon, applying some pressure. And here's the follow-up. Shin building up his Roach Hydra. Awesomesauce setting up back at home, getting into Storm, throwing down gates. And Shin is getting ready for his push. Awesomesauce, unfortunately, his gases were a little bit late here, and he is lacking a way to spend his minerals. Charge on the way. More gateways just now being thrown down. But Shin, he's here. Yeah, Shin, he's already here. And now all that greed from the early game, it's now reflected here in the army supply. As Shin is pushing in, knocking down those rocks. And it shows what happens if Azoric players are allowed to do what they want. Nice Storm, zones away the Hydras. Hydra speed is not yet done. Like a Storm here on the left hand side as well. Shin moving in, pushing towards the bases. And Shin is maxed, by the way. It's crazy. He's on 73 workers, he's maxed out. GG gets called, and Shin, he breaks to the 3rd base. Snowball's out of control, and Shin, he does advance on to the next round. GG. GG, well played. Shout out to Awesomesauce for competing here as well, for going up against Shin. Not an easy opponent whatsoever. I was expecting something cheeky, just like we saw previously, like going into, like, you know, Fast Tempest, into Fleet Beacon. But no, shout out to Awesomesauce. Like, standard play. Like, he went for standard builds, Stargate into Blink, of course. But unfortunately, both games, he wasn't really too active. He wasn't applying too much pressure. And both games, Shin, he could just do whatever he wanted. He was just happily droning, saturating, building up on 3 bases, here building up on 4 bases, and then maxing out. Like, that was a fast max out there out of Shin, and again, he was able to overwhelm. Really impressive play there by Shin. And shout out to Awesomesauce for, again, taking a different approach. Like, in my mind, Awesomesauce and Patches are similarly skilled players, and if you remember, Patches against Creator, he went for mass cheese. He went for just mass cheese, mass aggression, just pure all-ins and shenanigans against Creator, which was a lot of fun. Here, Awesomesauce had a different approach. Here, whipped out his macro, wanted to compare himself to his opponent, to Shin, and kind of see how he would fare, and see how Shin would also respond as well, and how he would look, which was scary. It's terrifying. GG, well played, congratulations. Shin will claim the series, and with that, Shin does advance on to the next round.